Welcome to Outside the Ring. I'm here with my guest, one half of Detroit's new founding father, the Purge, Sean Tyler.
Hey, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for bringing me on here.
I'm gonna start by asking, what got you into the world of professional wrestling?
Well, when I grew up, my older brother actually got me into wrestling as a young kid, like back in the 80s when like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, and all these guys were like the guys to be like the big like legendary guys back in the 80s when they were around. And as I grew up and got older and like wanted to like got further and further into it, I decided well, I actually found ECW back in the 90s, and that was kind of like the solidifying thing for me, seeing the craziness of that. So I decided pro wrestling was what I wanted to do for a career.
How'd you come up with the ring name Sean Tyler?
Well, Sean is actually my legit first name. Um, and I wanted something close to my actual last name, but I didn't want it to be my actual name. I wanted it to be something that felt real but was flexible. So Tyler was something that ended up kind of ringing for me.
How long have you been wrestling for?
Well, February, I started training in 2004, in November 2004, and I started as a referee in February 2005. So my official start date was 19 years ago this past November. As a referee, it will be 19 years this um, excuse me, this February. I think it was February 15th, February 18th. I'll have to take a look. I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head.
Where did you start wrestling at?
Well, I originally trained under Dan the Beast Severn in Coldwater, Michigan for a company called Price of Glory Wrestling. Um, and that before it was Price of Glory Wrestling, it was called a company called the Midwest Wrestling Alliance or Midwest Wrestling Association, the MWA. But they wanted to switch it up, and when I had my first match, it had already transitioned over to Price of Glory Wrestling.
Let's see. Do you have a list of favorite matches that you fought in or like favorite moments?
Um, yeah, I do. So some of my favorite matches, um, I would have to say would have been against guys like early in my career and some more recent. Early in my career, I'd have to say one of my favorite matches is with a friend of mine, old colleague named Keith Cream, who we literally in one of our main event matches broke the ring on its first night of owning the ring for that company. Um, so that was a fun match that like we kind of went all out on that one. Um, Another one of my favorites actually is a recent favorite of mine from not last year but 2022, where myself and um a protege of mine at the time, Nicky Ratu, had taken on a wrestler from the area here who moved to Florida. His name is El Ridiculoso, and he teamed up with Tommy Dreamer from ECW. So that was a really cool moment for me because Tommy Dreamer was a guy that I idolized as a teenager in ECW. So
Yeah, I've heard of El Ridiculous. So he actually wrestled at a local promotion for me. Like that's like 20, 25 minutes away from me.
yeah, which
From
promotion?
LPW.
Live Pro. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I know about them.
Do you have any like favorite promotions that you've fought in?
Yes. My favorite of all time that I had been a part of was a promotion in Indianapolis. It's no longer around anymore. It's called Insanity Pro Wrestling. It's actually where I had some of my initial like early career awesome moments. Um, it was where I met a ton of guys like the Chris brothers and John Moxley and Aaron Williams. Uh, I had the pleasure of working with a ton of really cool guys in that promotion. And another favorite of mine currently is Northern Michigan promotion called Mr. Chainsaw Pro Wrestling. And they, to this day, are still one of my favorite promotions to work for.
Who would you say were some of your toughest opponents?
Aside from the names like Tommy Dreamer or Rhino, I would say probably some of my toughest opponents would be guys like, well, like Keith Crane would be one. Uh, Gentleman by the name of Old Timer Jeff King, who's a Michigan guy but has been around for a long time. I wrestled in the first year of my career, JT Lightning, who's a Cleveland legend out there. Um, I've been with a lot of really tough guys in that ring, so it's kind of hard to make one. One of my favorites as far as, and one of the toughest guys I've been, and it's somebody I've wrestled a lot of times out here in Detroit. His name's DBA. He's like the godfather of the area. He's
Yeah,
probably one
I've
of the toughest guys around.
heard of him, seen some of his matches and stuff, heard great things about him.
Yeah, man's been wrestling since the '90s, and he still
Kicking it.
goes all out.
Some people I've interviewed said they actually started wrestling for his promotion, like that was their first promotion.
Yeah, yeah. I currently wrestle for his promotion, XICW, as well.
Who are some people you would want to fight in the future?
Um, there's a lot of guys I really want to get in the ring with. Um,
Let's try to get like a top five.
ooh, that's tough. I really want to get a match with um top five, hopefully before the gentleman was done. I want Shane Douglas from ECW. Like he's one of my top guys I really want. As far as a little bit closer to my range, I would say I definitely want to try and get a match with uh, a gentleman by the name of Dickie Bronson. I'm looking for a match with a couple of the guys in my area that are a little bit new, one-on-ones with specifically one of my students, KJ Ryan, I'm sorry, KJ Reynolds. I've had the pleasure of wrestling him multiple times in tag bouts, but I haven't had a one-on-one with him yet.
I
And
just seen him, KJ, fight because he came down to Live Pro
yeah,
last Saturday and fought Sam Beal.
yeah, yeah. KJ's very, very good, and he's only been in a couple of years. He's going to do some really cool things.
Yeah,
Uh, I really want to I really want to explore some of the talent down south and more in Ohio again. I really want to get a match with somebody like Cody Hawk because that's a guy that I've had a chance to see many times over the years, but never had the chance to step in the ring with him. And then I'd probably say lastly, I really want to get a match with Tommy Vendetta because I've been in the ring with him in tag bouts and in scrambles and such, but haven't had the chance to do a one-on-one with him. And I got a feeling that if that match happens, it's probably going to be in a death match.
yeah. We were talking for a bit, and you told me that you teach your own like wrestling school.
Yeah, yeah.
How'd that come to be?
Well, I have, I've been wrestling for 19 years now. I uh, I started helping out at my one of the schools that I trained at, House of Truth, um, back in 2019, and I would do it like periodically here and there to kind of fill in and just kind of like see what I can do to, throw a little extra. input in, but I started full-time training there at the end of 2020, and I was there all the way up until July of this past year. And I also was helping out because um, I was also helping out another school in Saginaw out here called UCW. So I was training between two schools, and I had a bunch of guys contacting me saying, "Hey, I'd like to train under you. Hey, I heard that you're the guy that trained so and so at House of Truth, or I hear that you're doing training at UCW. I'd like to learn under you." And I was just like, "Well, why not open my own school?" I ended up talking with some good friends of mine, both both on the independent level and one that works for TNA actually. And when I explained to them my plan, they're like, "Go for it." So lo and behold, I think that conversation happened in April, and October we opened the school.
What's the name of the school?
It's New Edge Pro Wrestling Academy. I actually already had the promotion going, New Edge Pro Wrestling out here in the Detroit area. We run out of the Taylortown Trade Center, and we started running shows back in May. And when the opportunity to open the school fell in my lap, I decided, hell with it, let's go with it.
How'd you come up with the name New Edge Pro Wrestling Academy?
So the name initially was a collaboration between me and another gentleman. Um, it was originally supposed to be the replacement name for another promotion, and um, we were trying to get shows off the ground for it originally, but then something happened, and he decided to go back to the old promotion name, which was Total Chaos Wrestling. Um, when it came time for me to open my own promotion, I had already had the logo for New Edge Pro made. I had already had a whole bunch of stuff already done for it, had a bunch of graphics put together. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to keep this. I'm going to stick with it. And I ended up filing for an LLC on it, and then decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and make the transition and open the promotion. 4 months later, 5 months later, the school opened.
So you said you're one half of Detroit's new founding father, the Purge. Is it the Purge like a tag team?
Yep. Yep. My tag partner, Kevin Calloway, and we started the Purge for a promotion called Horror Slam back in 2018. It'll be 6 years ago when I come this May. And over the years, it was predominantly me, him, and a third, and then we would occasionally have a fourth here and there. But our third retired actually about 2 years ago. He had a couple injuries that he just decided, nah, I need to focus on my family, and decided it was time for him. And instead of getting another third to replace him, we just decided to just keep it a tag team, and we've been just fine with that ever since. And it works out really well because we've probably become one of the most known tag teams in the state of Michigan.
How'd you guys end up becoming a tag team?
Uh, Pretty much just that's it. Like we the promotion Horror Slam. Well, let me dial it back real quick here. When I went and retrained at the House of Truth, Kevin was actually had just finished training earlier in that year, and so he was still really new in the business. But he was also very smart, had a good head on his shoulders, and kind of understood the way things go a little bit better than a lot of new guys. And we bonded during training because it was literally just me and him and Truth Martini just running drills every day because when I rejoined or when I retrained, there was a 4-person class that everybody but me dropped out of. But we got to know each other, became really good friends. And then Horror Slam said, "Hey, we're starting this group of guys. We're going to call them the Purge. We want to know you want to be involved." And and when I asked who they were using in that group, they said Kevin Calloway, Justin Pilgrim. And I'm like, okay, cool. Kevin I knew from the school, Justin I knew from other promotions. So I'm like, okay, let's have some fun with this. And it has been a hell of a lot of fun ever since.
Who are some of your favorites to watch growing up, and who are some of your favorites to watch currently?
So when I was a kid, my top three, actually, no, I'm not going to do top three. I'm going to do my top five to watch at the time that really inspired me to get into pro wrestling were Bret Hart, Sting, Taz from ECW, Raven, and Tommy Dreamer. And all those guys, like I've had the pleasure of meeting a good chunk of those guys since then, and it's like it's kind of cool. Um, Currently now, a lot of my favorites to watch are guys like Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. On the independent scene, I like to watch a lot of guys that should be signed realistically. For a while, it was sorry, I'm drawing a blank on some names here. Well, if I'm talking guys that most people would know, I would say nowadays probably yeah, like Drew McIntyre, um, Seth Rollins. I am a huge fan of the work that Sami Zayn has done over the last couple of years. Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens, I'm sorry. Um, and in like TNA, um, Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley is amazing to watch in the ring too.
Yeah. You actually listed one of my dad's favorites of all time, and then one currently. His favorite of all time, or one of his favorites of all time, is Sting,
Yeah,
and then his favorite currently is Drew McIntyre.
yeah. Talented guys. And
Yeah.
Sting had an energy like nobody else. It was crazy.
He's still kicking at his age, getting hit in the head,
Yeah,
head on with a chair, and then
yeah.
just not even selling it.
That's because he might actually be hurt at that point.
Yeah, I tell this to everyone because the first match I watched wasn't live. It was on YouTube, and I recommended on YouTube. It was a ladder match from 2002 between Undertaker and Jeff Hardy for the WWF title.
I remember that match.
Yeah, I remember being all in for it, and then near at the end, after Jeff after Taker grabbed the title, Jeff started cutting his promo. You haven't killed me, Taker. You haven't killed me. I'm not
Yep,
done, or I'm not over, or something. And then Taker
yep,
came back, raised his hand, and then Jeff just falls to the mat.
yep,
So now I tell everyone my favorite all time is Undertaker, and then Jeff Hardy is number two. Just from that match, and those are the people that really got me into like watching wrestling.
yeah. Who are your favorites to watch now?
Some of my favorites, obviously, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor. Um, I like Seth Rollins' work. I like Jey Uso. Um, I really like Judgment Day.
Damian Priest has grown on me. He's grown on me.
Yeah. Someone I previously interviewed from a company up in Michigan, NWCW, said they would like to work a big man's match with Damien.
That would be cool.
Yeah. But let's see. Talking about Taker, this for the old school wrestling fans. Still in the box. See, Mean Mark Callis figure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, found a Target up in Michigan.
That's cool.
Yeah, I changed my favorite wrestler, so I had to pick it up. Hold on. I actually have something else I'm gonna go grab.
Okay.
So my birthday, let's say maybe 2020, 2021. I actually got, first of all, I got this, or which, all right, I got this signed picture first of Taker,
That's awesome.
and then I got one of Jeff Hardy.
That's really cool. Got your two favorites signed and framed.
Yep. And I actually never got to see either of those people, or yeah, people in person. Because I started watching during lockdown, like pandemic and everything,
Yeah,
when they're doing stuff in the performance center.
yeah. When
But
things were messy for the world.
yeah, this past August, when they went up to Detroit, I actually got to go to SummerSlam. So I got this sign, not sign, but this commemorative SummerSlam ticket.
That is cool. The holograph tickets.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they did those.
It was my personal, I didn't know either. They got mailed to us.
That's cool.
And then I got a Jey Uso, the real Chief shirt when he was still feuding with Roman.
Yeah.
Mm. That's all I have for you. Want to say anything before we hop off?
Uh, Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you reaching out and bringing me on to your show here.
Absolutely.
And if you ever want to check out anything that we have, let me know. I'll send you some footage from the shows and from the school.
Alrighty.
All right, man. You take
You
it
have a good one.
easy.
You too.
All right, bye.